Hi, my name's James Hawken, and I'm a piano player. And yes, I know it's another musician doing a podcast about his or her latest single. Well, yes, that is correct. But, there is a bit of a story to this one. And whether you're interested in listening to my music or not, I hope you are, obviously. I think you'll find the story itself is pretty interesting, and I'm going to sort of wind it around a few other tales as well about my past history as a musician and hanging out with the bikers and all the rest of it, which was enormous fun back in the day. So I'll spin some tales and. We will have a laugh if you stay with me. We will have a laugh and maybe, maybe a tear as well, sort of like at the end. So anyway, the new single is called "The Wings of a Butterfly," and there's quite an amazing tale to this one. So, and it goes back, crikey, 40 odd years possibly, back when I was in my late teens. To take you back to the start of that, I was, brought up in a village in Cornwall, and we lived on a housing estate. And down the bottom of the estate lived a chap called Mumbo, Toby Banks, and he was quite a bit older, and so he was like a grown man in his own house with wife Jan, lovely mate, and kids and all, and there were we youngsters, and it was a bit of an open house, if you like, and we could all go in there and pretend that we're adults and stuff, and get up to some stuff, and Tobe was like, to me, he was like an older brother, I suppose. And we used to go in there, hang out, and it was like our little clubhouse, if you like. And it was brilliant. But Tobe Mumbo, he was a member of a biker gang, and I got introduced to the rest of the biker gang, and just fell in love with that sort of lifestyle. When you're in your late teens, that sort of lifestyle really did appeal to me anyway. It's full of parties, great stuff, fantastic blokes. I got to know them very well and made lifelong friends there, and got involved with the lifestyle with enthusiasm, and it was really great times. And we formed a band. I've been a professional musician since I was 14. So I had 4 or 5 years of doing that, and we formed a band called the Blue Grid. And a couple of guys hadn't picked up instruments or anything like that before. And do you know what? The natural ability in those guys to play music, and the musicality in them, it was just amazing, because it was a time where there was a bit of a cross-section between rock and punk. And we had this unique style, which was a combination of the two, really, and we called it Runk. It was... We had quite a biker following back in those days, and not just bikers, but we had quite a following. In Cornwall, we were pretty good. And I think, if we were in a different place, that band could have sort of gone on and done bigger and better things. I really do think there was potential there. But I just want to tell you a little story really about Mumbo and the Biker Association, because at the time they didn't wear the patches, the colours. They didn't wear the colours on the back, and there's good reasons for that. Anyway, we were in the Cat and Fiddle in Bodmin. The Cat and Fiddle was a pub that was sort of a clubhouse type of thing. And the Scorpio came in, or a few members from the Scorpio, and the Scorpio were the Snorstall biker gang. Des Hooper was the president at the time, and he came in with a couple of his henchmen, if you like, and they were obviously recruiting. And me and Mumbo were sat at the bar, just enjoying our drinks, and Des Hooper comes up to Mumbo and he says, obviously trying to recruit Mumbo into the Scorpio, and he goes to Mumbo, he says, you see that patch on my back? That means freedom. Mumbo goes to Des, he says, do you see that patch on my back? And Des goes, well, you haven't got one. He says, that's freedom. I'll never forget that. Anyway, look, here's a photograph of, oh no, it's me. You twat. So here's a photograph of us back in our Blue Grid days. So you can see we took ourselves very seriously. I don't know why I was wearing a pair of sunglasses with just one lens in it, really. But that was the time. You can see a cigarette machine on the back wall. Anybody could just walk in. Whatever age, get cigarettes. It was quite funny. And so there we are. There's Mumbo playing the guitar. Me obviously on keyboards and Jimmy Underwood singing. Good old Mumbo with his Marshall stack there. And there we are, Jimmy and me and Mumbo there playing away. Now, I'm going to give you a taste of what the music was like, really. So what I'm going to do a minute, if you don't mind me coming over here, and I'm going to have a look. Right, so have a listen to this. Anyway, brilliant stuff. And that was a song I wrote, and it didn't have a name. And come back to the name of the band, Blue Grid. The reason for that name is that one of the band members, when under the influence of hallucinogenics, would see the world through a blue grid. And so we called the band the Blue Grid. And when I took that song to the band, we thought that song particularly sort of encompassed the feeling and the energy and the attitude of the band. And so we called the track the Blue Grid, sort of, as a thing about us. So that was great. So after the Blue Grid, me and Mumbo we tried a duo, really, I suppose, going out and in sort of the pubs and clubs, and Mumbo, right, this is Mumbo here, so there he is. Okay, so when you your first impression of Mumbo, right? So he's a pretty hard guy, okay, and he's got scars over his face and stuff, and tattoos and all the rest of it. Some tattoos were sort of homemade tattoos and expressed sort of ideas at the time. And quite a funny story. I hope Mumbo doesn't mind me telling you this, but on his fingers he had letters tattooed, okay? And when you put them together, sort of across like that, it's spelt let's fuck, okay? The only trouble was he borrowed a motorcycle one day and went for a little spin on it and wasn't wearing gloves, had a bit of a wipeout, and the skin came off one of his fingers. It came off the U. So what was just left was just like a letter I. So now when he puts his fingers together, it says let's fick, which didn't really have the same same meaning, but or any meaning at all, really. Anyway, excuse me. So yeah. So he's quite a big chap, and you would look at him and say, "Flipping heck, I wouldn't like to mess with him." And you'd be absolutely right. You certainly would not want to mess with Mumbo, but heart of gold. Absolute heart of gold, and just a genuine, really nice chap. And played the acoustic guitar. And I'll tell you what, when he sang, he has this sort of soft, mellow, really expressive voice that you just want to listen to, and you would just sit back and go, it would just chill you. And Mumbo played a lot of sort of Donovan songs, Catch the Wind, that sort of stuff. And it was encapsulating. And, I thought, and still do think, it was wonderful back in those days to listen to somebody who can just sit down and create this sort of wonderful, I don't know, it was like an atmosphere around when he sang. It was really, really good, and, you really listened to it. And the words in his singing were really heartfelt. Anyway, so we worked together for a little while. I think I've got a set list here, actually. Where are we? So, not that one. There. So you can see this set list comes from about 40 years ago. And it's I've written stuff out. I can't even read it now, but you can see how it was sort of adapted for stuff. Anyway, I wrote. I was in Plymouth at college at university, and I'd spent the night with Sarah, my future wife, and I got up and I was on the edge of the bed, and I started, for some reason, writing a song about some sort of sexual experimentation. And these are the lyrics to that right there, okay? And the song's called Toes Up Your Noses. And I wrote, you can see the handwritten lyrics there, and the lyrics disappeared from my life. And for 40 odd years, I sort of, I was thinking, where on earth are they every so often? I think, Toes Up Your Noses. Yeah, I remember writing that. And where on earth are the lyrics gone? Anyway, out of the blue, I hadn't been in contact with Mumbo for quite a few years. And sort of out of the blue, he sticks something on Facebook and tags me in it. And it's these lyrics, Toes Up Your Noses. And he had kept those lyrics for 40, 45 odd years. And it was like, I was gobsmacked. Crikey, there they are. And I started messaging Toby, and I said, flipping out, where on earth did you get all that from? And he said, I've kept everything. And then, that set list come out. And he said, I still perform Toes Up Your Noses when I do live sets. I said, get on. And he said, and also I perform another song of yours that you wrote. I said, get on. I wrote, what other song did I write? He said, you wrote a song called The Wings of a Butterfly. Did I? I don't remember that. He said, yeah, you said you did like a bit of a mental exercise with yourself. You said, I challenged myself to write a song with just 2 chords and to make it interesting. Yes, I did. I remember it now. And The Wings of a Butterfly, I remember, I wrote that as a song, as a love song, basically, to Sarah, who we ended up together. And we are still together now after 40-odd years. And, you know, we did get married and we've got a life together. And I wrote this song for her right at the very start, The Wings of a Butterfly. And I said to him, you don't have a copy of it anywhere, you know? And he said, yeah. He said, I recorded just me and an acoustic guitar of me singing it about 30 years ago. I said, well, do you actually have a copy of it? He said, yeah, I'll send it to you. So he sent me the MP3. Yeah, I mean, the quality of the recording, you know, was as you would expect. 30 years ago, just singing into a cassette player. But honestly, it touched me emotionally because the way of how Mambo sang it. And I thought, do you know what? I've got to do something with this. It was just beautiful. The way he sang it was just beautiful. So, a la Beatles, because the Beatles had just brought out Now and Then, which they extracted John's voice from a demo all those years ago. Well, I did exactly the same. So I extracted Mambo's voice from this scratchy, hissy, wobbly cassette demo and managed to clean them up a little bit and did an arrangement of it. I sent it to Mambo and said, "What do you think?" And he obviously he thought it was really good, and I said, "Okay, I'm going to release it in that case." So this is the actual track. That's the set list, and this is the track. Okay, sorry, that is Mambo in today, as he is today, roughly. And you can see still sat there playing the acoustic guitar, and I can bet you he is still wowing people by doing that. Okay, so let's have a go. Here we are.
As I walk the sand for the trees, and as I thought I sang for love, as I walk the sand for my lady, and as I thought I sang for peaceful love. And I saw many faces from my past, they fluttered by, full of dreams and many colors, the wings of a butterfly. As I cried, she sang for me, and as I sighed, she sang of living. As I lied, she sang the truth, and as I smiled, she sang of giving. And I saw many faces from my past, they fluttered by, full of dreams and many colors, the wings of a butterfly. I saw many faces from my past, they fluttered by, full of dreams goes the wings of a butterfly. The wings of a butterfly.
So there we have it. That's the track I arranged, and that's Mambo's vocals from 30 odd years ago. I'm quite pleased with it. Hopefully you enjoyed listening to it. Back in those days, spending time with Mambo and Keith and Colin and Jimmy and all the gang there, that it was a bit of a sort of my passage into adulthood, I suppose. Going from 16, 17-year-old to I don't know, probably early 20s before. We sort of went off and did other things and sort of, didn't see each other anymore really. And so, it holds a special place in my heart, those times and that song. And Tobe said that he played that arrangement and that song to his wife, Hayley. And he got quite emotional. And he said he cried, because of the overwhelming feelings that we had, because it brings back all sorts of stuff to us, And he messaged me to say that. And I was sat at the piano in my studio here when the message came through and I read it. And that also made me a bit emotional. And I wrote a piano piece straight off. When I read that message, I was at the piano and I wrote a piece, just purely straight off the cuff. And I called the piece After the Tears Have Fallen. And if I may be indulged, and if you're still with me, fantastic. I'm going to attempt to play a little piece of it now. So if I can just move this out of the way a minute, and I'll go over here. Okay, and I'm gonna have a go here. So hopefully. You can hear that okay. So, After the Tears Have Fallen. or something similar to that. Okay, so, well, if you stayed all the way through, thanks very much. The Wings of a Butterfly is out on the 5th of January on, typical all the streaming platforms. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you're all well. Take care. Thank you. Bye.